Welcome to Pure Yoga Mindful Movement. We're going to start in standing today at the front of your mat, so the short edge of your mat, having the feet hip width apart, toes in front of the heels, hands down by the sides of the body, turning the palms forward, relaxing the shoulders back towards the hips, a little soft micro bend in the knees, so we've got a little bit of flex there. Our spine and pelvis should be in neutral, so we're not into anterior tilt, we're not into posterior tilt, we're finding that real comfortable space in the middle, that strong anatomical position. Head stuck in top of the spine, on top of the hips, on top of the knees, on top of the ankles. Close the eyes, just take a moment in stillness, just to connect the mind and body together. And then when you've connected that mind and body, through taking a scan from the top of the head down to the fingertips, just checking in with how your body feels as you've arrived on the mat. How do the shoulders feel and the hips? How do the joints of the elbows and the knees feel? How do the wrists and the ankles feel? Just being aware of everything through the body before we start to move. Once you've taken your scan of the body, bring your focus to your breath, taking nice deep breaths as low as you can down the torso. It may be just into the lower ribs, it may be down into the belly, maybe you're short, sharp breathing into the upper part of the chest. Try and send it a little longer, a little deeper. And as you're standing with the eyes closed, trying to find as much stillness as you possibly can, it will never be completely still. The body is always moving to correct and find its equilibrium. Open the eyes. Start to bring the chin into the chest. Start to roll the shoulders forward, rolling through the upper spine, letting the arms be heavy at the front. And as you roll through the upper spine and come to the mid-spine, start to bring a softness into the knees as you roll the fingertips down towards the floor. And as those fingertips touch, on your next breath in, slowly curl back up again, keeping the knees softly bent until that lower back starts to straighten. When that lower back starts to straighten, the knees start to come straight and then the shoulders roll back. On your breath in, raise the hands up to the ceiling, palms together at the top. On your out breath, right hand comes to the outside of the right thigh as you lean over to the left. Breath in brings the hands back to centre, and on your breath out, left hand comes to the thigh, right hand reaches up and over to the left side. Come back to centre, both hands meet at the top, then bring your left hand forward, your right hand back, keeping the hips facing forward. Breath in, back to centre, breath out, bring right hand forward, left hand back, and turn to the left. Come back to centre, then bring both hands down to the lower spine, fingertips pointing down, little fingers together, push the hips forward, squeeze the bum, flare through the ribs, lift up through the chest, lift up through the gaze, and squeeze those shoulder blades towards each other. Extension through the spine. Breath in, come back to centre. Breath out, release the hands down by the sides of the body. Breath in, raise the hands up to the ceiling. And on your out breath, bring the arms wide as you lower from the hips, bringing your hands to the floor, bending through the knees to bring the hands to the mat. Breath in comes up to a half lift, straighten the legs, hands to shins. Breath out, we plant the hands to the floor. We're stepping back with the right foot, dropping the right knee to the mat and untucking the right toes. On your breath in, raise the hands up to the ceiling, shoulders stuck over the hips over the right knee. And then bringing your right hand onto the outside of the right thigh, lean over to the right with the left hand. Breath in comes back to centre, then release that left hand down to the side of the body and reach over with the right hand to the left side of the room. Come back to centre, both hands lift. On your out breath, left hand forward, right hand back, turn, twist to the right. On your in breath, come back to centre. And then send right hand forward, left hand back and turn to the left. Come back to centre. On your out breath, bring the hands to the lower back. Lift up with the ribs, lift up with the gaze, take a back bend, squeezing the glute on that right side to keep you stable, pushing into the feet. And then release the hands down either side of that left foot. Bring your left knee back to meet the right. Step your right foot back into plank, your left foot back into plank, and lift up the hips. To our first down dog, take a little paddle of those feet and a nod and a shake of the head. Moving those hips from side to side maybe if you wish. Maybe taking some bend into the elbows to bring a real bit of fluidity into this down dog. Then if you're ready to bring everything to a still position, encouraging the heels towards the floor, maybe bring a soft bend into the knees if you need to. We're going to do 4 flows through plank and then back to down dog. And we're going to take them with our breath to movement. Your breath in comes forward to a plank. Your breath out, we hover the knees, send the hips back to the heels, then up to the ceiling, heels to the floor. Breath in, come back to plank. Breath out, hover the knees, send the hips back, lift the hips, heels to the floor. 2 more, breath in, forward to plank. Breath out, hover the knees, hips back, hips lift, heels to the floor. Last one, forward to plank. Hover the knees, send the hips back, hips lift, heels to the floor. Relax the head and gaze back towards the toes. Then coming down onto the knees, step your right foot in between the hands, tuck your back toes under and lift up with the back knee. Step your left foot slightly in and drop the left heel down. Bring the shoulders over the hips, reach the hands to the ceiling. Then bring the hands down, right hand down, left hand reaches over to the right. Come back to centre, right hand lifts. Then bring your left hand down and reach over to the left. Come back to centre. Bring your left hand forward, right hand back, turn and twist to the right. Breath in, back to centre. Bring your right hand forward, left hand back and turn to the left. Come back to centre. Release the hands to the lower back. Bring your little fingers together. Push the hips forward, raise through the ribs, raise through the chest, raise the gaze. Then on the out breath, take a hold of elbows and fold over that right thigh. Take a breath in, elongate. Breath out, maybe fold a little deeper over that right leg. Just bringing the head to as close as you can to that right shin. One more breath here. Then release the hands down to either side of the right foot. Step your left foot back to meet the right and allow the body to fold over those thighs. Let go of the head and give it a nod and shake. Then on your in-breath, slowly curl up through that spine, 1 vertebra at a time. And when you arrive in standing, roll those shoulders back. Breath in, hands lift up to the ceiling. And on your out breath, right hand comes to the right thigh and lean over to the right with the left hand. Breath in comes back to centre. Breath out, left hand comes to the left thigh and we reach over to the left. Come back to centre. Then bring your left hand forward, your right hand back, turn and twist to the right. Breath in, back to centre. Breath out, right hand forward, left hand back and twist to the left. Come back to centre. Release the hands to the lower back. Push the hips forward, lift the ribs, the chest, the gaze. Find that back bend. Hold it there for a breath. Then lift the shoulders back over the hips. Release the hands by the sides of the body. On your breath in, raise the hands to the ceiling. Palms come together at the top. And then on your out breath, fold from the hips, soften the knees, bring the hands all the way to the floor, let the head hang. Breath in, half lift, hands to shins. Breath out, plant the hands, step back with your left foot, drop the left knee down to the floor, untuck the toes. Lift the shoulders over the hips and on an in-breath, raise the hands to the ceiling. On an out-breath, bring your left hand down, reach over with the right hand to the left side, push into the floor to stabilise. Breath in, raise those hands. Breath out, right hand comes down, left hand reaches over towards that right side of the room. Breath in, raise the hands. Breath out, bring the left hand forward, right hand back, twist to the right. Breath in, back to centre. Breath out, right hand forward, left hand back, twist to the left. And come back to centre. Then release the hands to the lower back. Push the hands into the spine, lift up with the ribs, the chest, squeeze that left bum cheek to raise those chests high, push those hips forward. And then bring the hands down, either side of that right foot, bring your right knee back to meet the left, step your left foot back, your right foot back, lift the hips and find your down dog. Maybe you have a little paddle of the feet here, a nod and a shake of the head. Then bringing those heels to a still position, we're taking 4 flows through plank and back to down dog. Forward to plank on your inhale, hover the knees on your exhale, send the hips back, lift the hips up, heels back towards the floor. Forward to plank, inhale, hover the knees, send the hips back, lift the hips, squeeze the heels to the floor. 2 more, forward to plank, hover the knees, send the hips back, lift the hips, squeeze the heels down. Last one, forward to plank, hover the knees, hips back, hips lift, heels to the floor. Have a nod and a shake of the head and gaze back towards the toes, the knees or the hips to get a stretch through the back of the neck. And then coming down onto the knees, bring your left foot through in between the hands, tuck your back toes under, lift up the back knee, step your right foot forward, slightly drop the heel, lift the shoulders over the hips. Breath in, raise the hands to the ceiling. On your breath out, left hand comes to the side, right hand reaches up and over to the left. Breath in comes back to centre. Breath out, right hand releases to the side, reach over to the right. Breath in, back to centre. Left hand forward, right hand back, twist to the right. Breath in, back to centre. Left hand back, right hand forward and twist to the left. Come back to centre. Release the hands to the lower back, fingertips, little fingers to touch. Push the hips forward, raise through the ribs, raise through the chest, take a back bend. Maybe gaze up towards the ceiling, hold it there. Squeeze that right bum cheek to protect the lower back. Then lift the shoulders back over the hips, taking a hold of each elbow. And on your out breath, fold from the hips, bring the chest over that left thigh. Take another breath in, and on another out breath, maybe find a little more range of movement, bringing that head as close to that left shin as you can take, getting a hamstring stretch through the back of that left leg. Easy breaths in, long breaths out. Then release the hands down to the floor, step your right foot back to meet the left. Allow the head to hang. Then on your in-breath, soften the knees, slowly curl up, back through that spine, one vertebra at a time, and as you arrive in standing, roll the shoulders back. Breath in, raise the hands to the ceiling. Breath out, right hand to the thigh, reach over with the left to the right side. Breath in, back to the ceiling. Breath out, left hand down, reach over with the right to the left hand side. Back to centre. Left hand forward, right hand back, rotate. Breath in, back to centre. Right hand forward, left hand back and rotate. Come back to centre. Release the hands to the lower back. Let the fingertips point down. Push the hips forward, raise through the ribs, lift up through the gaze. Take a back bend, squeeze the bum to push the hips further. Come back to centre. Release the hands by the sides of the body. Breath in, raise the hands to the ceiling. Breath out, fold from the hips. Bring the hands back to the floor. Soften the knees if you need to. Breath in, half lift, hands to shins. Straighten the back. Breath out, plant the hands. Step back with your right foot. Drop your right knee and tuck your right toes. Raise up the arms as you bring the shoulders to stack over that right knee. Right hand comes down, lean over to the right with the left hand. Come back to centre. Left hand comes down, reach over to the left with the right hand. Come back to centre. Left hand forward, right hand back and rotate to the right. Come back to centre. Right hand forward, left hand back, rotate to the left. Come back to centre. Bring the hands to the lower back. Push the hands down the back as you raise the ribs, lift the chest, lift the gaze, take your back bend. And then bring those shoulders back over the hips. Bring the hands to either side of the left foot. Bring your left knee back. Step your right foot back to plank, your left foot back to plank. Lift up the hips and squeeze the heels back. Forward to plank and back to down dog 4 times. Forward to plank, inhale. Hover the knees, send the hips back. Lift the hips back to the ceiling, heels to the floor. Forward to plank on the inhale. Long exhale as you take it back. Lift the hips, squeeze the heels back. 2 more, forward to plank. Hover the knees, hips back, hips lift, heels down. Last one, feeling that mobility through the shoulders, through the hips, strength through the thighs as you lift back to down dog. Once you get back to down dog, have a nod and a shake of the head. Then come down onto your knees. Bring your right foot through, in between the hands. Tuck your back toes and lift up your back knee. Step your left foot slightly forward and drop the heel down. Windmill the left arm up and over and turn the shoulders to the left side, arms out to a T shape. Bring the hands to interlace at the lower back and push them down to the floor and squeeze the shoulder blades together. Then bring the hands onto the right hip and then bring your right ear to your right shoulder. Feeling the stretch down that left side of the neck. Then release the right hand, keep the left hand where it is, and then just let that right hand travel down to the knee as that right ear stays as close to that right shoulder as you can take it. Try not to hyperextend through that right leg. Try not to put pressure from the hand onto that right knee. So we're feeling a stretch down that left side body. We're not going too deep in this triangle pose. We're keeping it relatively high. Then your next breath in, lift up with the torso, reach back out with the hands. Then take your regular triangle pose, reaching forward with the right hand, bringing your right hand to the inner, right shin and the left hand to lift. Create that space along the right side torso, the left side torso. Try not just to collapse over that right thigh. Keep a nice long line. I don't want that hand going too far down that leg if it means you're dropping through the left shoulder to reach. Keep it high, keep that alignment good. On your breath in, bring yourself back up to that center space. Step back to the front of the mat, both feet hip width apart. Breath in, raise the hands up to the ceiling. Breath out, bring your right hand to the right thigh, reach over with the left. Breath in comes back to center. Breath out, left hand comes down, reach over to the left with the right hand. Breath in comes back to center. Left hand forward, right hand back, and we twist to the right. Breath in, back to center. Then bring your right hand forward, left hand back, and twist to the left. Come back to center, both hands lift. Then bring the hands to the lower back, fingertips point down, push the hips forward, raise through the ribs, the chest, the gaze. Then come back to center. Release the hands by the sides of the body. Breath in raises the hands to the ceiling. And on your breath out, fold from the hips, bring the arms wide to bring them down to the floor. Soften the knees if you need to. Breath in comes up to a half lift. Then your breath out, we plant the hands, we step back with your left foot, drop the left knee to the floor and untuck the toes. Reach up with the arms, shoulders stack over that left knee and over the hips. Left hand comes down, reach over to the left with the right hand. Come back to centre. Left hand lifts. Right hand down, lean over to the right with the left hand. Come back to centre. Then left hand forward, right hand back, twist around to the right. Back to centre. Right hand forward, left hand back and twist to the left. Come back to centre. Bring both hands down behind the back. Fingertips point down, lift up through the ribs, lift up through the chest, squeeze that left bum cheek to push those hips forward. And then come back to centre, release both hands down either side of that right foot, step your right knee back, step your left foot back to plank, your right foot back to plank, and lift up the hips. Squeeze of the heels back to down dog. From this position, we're going to take our flow through plank and back to down dog 4 times. Breath in, forward to plank. Breath out, hover the knees, hips go back, hips lift, heels go to the floor. Forward to plank. Hover, lift the hips up, heels go back. 2 more. Hover, lift, heels back. Last one. And find yourself backing down dog, gazing back towards the toes, the knees or the hips, getting that stretch through the back of the neck. Then coming down onto the knees, step your left foot through, in between the hands, tuck your back toes under, lift up the back knee, step your right foot slightly forward and drop the right heel in. Reach up and over with the right hand and turn the chest now to the right side, the hips to the right side. Then bring the hands behind you, interlace the fingers, push the hands down towards the floor, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Then bring the hands to the left waist and lean your head over towards that left shoulder. Feeling the stretch down that right side neck into that arm. Keeping the hand of the right where it is. Let the left hand come down that left leg. Try not to hyperextend the left knee or put any pressure on that left knee with that left hand. And then let that left ear sink as close to that left shoulder as you can with the bind of that right hand on the left side waist. Keep the chest open and the hips open to the right side. And then lift back up with the torso. Bring arms out to a T shape. And then do your regular triangle, bringing your left hand to the inside of the left leg as your right hand lifts. It's not about how far you can get down that left leg, it's about keeping good alignment. Reaching up with the right hand, down with the left hand, energetically pushing into both feet and feeling the length across that left side waist. Holding triangle just for another breath. Then on your in-breath, lift up with the shoulders, step back to the front of the mat. Bring the feet back to hip width apart. So just taking a moment in standing, anatomical position, palms facing forward, shoulders relaxed down, a little softness through the knees and a neutral pelvis. Tall through the spine, up through the crown of the head and finding that stability to the earth. If you don't want to take this anatomical position, maybe you take on a little water if you wish. Okay, ready to go again. Breath in, raise the hands up to the ceiling. Palms come together at the top. On your out breath, lean over to the right side. Right hand comes down to the right thigh. Breath in, comes back to centre. Lean over to the left side, left hand comes down the side of the left thigh. Breath in, back to centre. Breath out, left hand forward, right hand back and twist to the right. Breath in, back to centre. Breath out, right hand forward, left hand back and twist to the left. Breath in, come back to centre. Breath out, release the hands to the lower back, fingertips point down. Push the hips forward, raise the ribs, raise the gaze, raise the chest. And then bring it back to neutral. This time, interlace the fingers. Push the hands down towards the floor. Widen the legs a little wider. Soften the knees and then fold from the hips as you bring that chest to the inner thighs of both legs. And as you raise the arms away from the back, if the shoulders are happy to do so, let the head hang, let it drop. Let the chest sit on top of the inner both sides of thighs. Keep pushing into the big toe mounts, the little toe mounts, the soles of the foot with the heel and the ball of the foot. Then release the hands back to the lower back. Bring the hands down to the floor. Heel toe the feet out to the edges of the mat. If you have a block and you want to use a block, we're coming into a Malasana pose, and just place that block underneath the bum if that's where you wish to go, whatever height you need to find. If you haven't got a block, just sink the hips as low as you can. Palms come together in the centre, elbows push the knees out. Breathe deeply as you arrive in this space. Eyes are closed, jaws relaxed, foreheads relaxed. Just taking a few moments here just to digest everything we've done in the first part of practice. Maybe just have a little rock of the body from side to side. Just getting into those hips. If anything feels uncomfortable in the knees, just keep it in stillness. Then release the hands back to the floor, straightening up through the legs. Heel toe the feet back into the centre and allow that body to fold over those thighs. Breath in, half lift. Hands to the shins, straighten the back, straighten the legs. Then place the hands back to the floor. Step your right foot back. Drop your right knee to the mat. Untuck the toes. Windmill the arms up towards the ceiling. Right hand comes down to the right thigh. Lean over to the right with the left hand. Breath in comes back to centre. Breath out, lean over to the left with the right hand. Back to centre. Take rotation. Left hand forward, right hand back. Rotate to the right. Come back to centre. Right hand forward, left hand back and rotate to the left. Come back to centre. Release the hands to the lower back. Fingertips point down. Push the hips forward. Raise the chest. Raise the gaze. Take it into a back bend. Then lift the shoulders back over the hips. Interlace the fingers. Push them down towards the floor. Heel toe the left foot out slightly. And then bring that left shoulder to that left knee. As you then, if you're happy for your shoulders to do it, raise the hands away from the lower back and just let the head hang. Then release the hands back to the lower back, lift up with the chest, heel toe that left foot back into centre. Bring the hands down either side of the left foot, bring your left knee back to meet the right. Step your right foot back, step your left foot back, lift up with the hips back to down dog. So we're going to take that flow through to plank back to down dog 4 times. Come forward to plank, inhale, soften the knees, send the hips back, lift the hips, squeeze the heels back. 3 more. Feeling that mobility through the shoulders and the hips as you move that spine, also in articulation, rolling forward and rolling back. Last one. Hold it in down dog when you arrive back in that space. Then come down onto the knees to a tabletop position. Reach forward with your left hand, back with your right toes, and lift that right foot away from the floor to bring it up to hip height. On your out breath, bring left elbow to right knee. On your in breath, raise it back up. Maybe take it into a back bend. Elbow to knee. Raise back up. Maybe take that back bend again. Elbow to knee. This time bring it to a straight line, so we're not taking a back bend, we're keeping the core engaged. Then bring your left hand to the floor, tuck your left toes under, and as you lift your left knee to straighten, bring your right knee to the chest. Bring your right foot then up to the ceiling and bring it back to meet that left foot. And then start to walk back forward to the front of the mat, bringing yourself to the front with the feet hip width apart, and allow that body to fold over the thighs. On your next breath in, raise the hands up towards the ceiling. Palms come together at the top. On your out breath, bring the hands to the chest. Then the hands by the sides of the body, ready to go on the opposite side. Breath in, raise the hands to the ceiling. On your out breath, bring the right hand to the side, left hand reaches up and over to the right. Breath in, back to centre, left hand comes down, reach over to the left with the right hand. Come back to centre, left hand forward, right hand back, turn and twist to the right. Back to centre, right hand forward, left hand back and twist to the left. Come back to centre. Release the hands to the lower back, little fingers together, fingers pointing down, push the hips forward, raise the chest, raise the gaze, squeeze the bum, protect that back. And then bring the chest back up. Interlace the fingers at the base of the spine, squeeze the shoulder blades together, just widen the feet, and on your out breath, allow yourself to fold to those inner thighs as you raise the hands maybe away from the lower back, and then relax the neck. Keep pushing into those big toe mounts, little toe mounts, heel and ball of the foot. In this forward fold, bending the knees to settle that chest on top of those thighs. Then release the hands back to the lower spine, bring the hands down in between the feet, heel toe the feet out to the edges. Find your Malasana squat either on a block or just lowering the hips to wherever low they can go. Elbows push the knees out. Hands are pushing in towards each other. The chest is lifted. The crown is tall to the ceiling. One more breath here. Then plant the hands down. Lift it up through the hips, heel toe the feet back into hip width apart. Breath in, half lift. Breath out, plant the hands, step back with your left foot, drop the left knee, untuck the left toes, reach up with the hands as you bring yourself, shoulders stacking over the hips. Right hand comes down, reach over to the right with the left hand, back to centre. Left hand comes down, reach over to the left with the right hand. Come back to centre. Left hand forward, right hand back and twist and rotate to the right. Come back to centre. Left hand back, right hand forward and twist to the left. Come back to centre. Release the hands back. Bring the hands to the lower back. Push the hips forward. Lift up with the chest, lift up with the gaze. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Then bring the shoulders back over, interlace the fingers, push them down towards that left knee, heel toe the right foot out to the side, and then bring that right shoulder to the inside of that right knee, let the head hang, maybe lift the arms up and over the head, finding our humble warrior with left knee down, breathing easy here. Then lift those shoulders back over the hips, release the hands back to the back, heel toe the right foot back into centre. Bring hands down either side of the right foot, step your right knee back, step your left foot back to plank, your right foot back to plank. Lift up the hips and squeeze of the heels back. Plank to down dog 4 times. Forward to plank, inhale, hover the knees, send the hips back, lift the hips, squeeze the heels to the floor. 3 more. Keep that good support through the hands by widening the fingers. Keep the feet so they're hip width apart. Hands shoulder width apart. Last one. Use that breath. Breath to movement to find that meditative state. When you reach back to down dog, take a breath there. And then come down onto the knees, tabletop position. Reach forward with your right hand, back with your left toes. Raise the left heel to hip height. Keep it in a nice long line. Then on your out breath, bring right elbow to left knee. In breath, raise back up. Maybe take it into a back bend. Bring it back in. Raise back up, back bend again. Bring it back in. This time send it out straight, no back bend, core center engaged, left heel pushing back, left toes back to the shins. Then bring your right hand to the floor, tuck your right toes under. As you lift the right leg to straighten, you bring your left knee into the chest. Then raise the left leg back up to the ceiling. Bring it back to meet the right. Take a paddle of the feet, nod and shake of the head. Then make your way onto your knees. Swing the legs around to the front of the mat. Heels forward, bums into the center. Bringing the arms out shoulder height. And slowly and mindfully lowering that body all the way to the floor with control. And then as you come to the mat, bring the arms out, cactus arms, palms facing up. Take a bend into both knees. Knees stay together, heels stay together. We're going to windscreen right both left and right side a few times. On your out breath, let the knees lower to the right. On your in breath, bring those knees back up to center. Out breath, lower the knees to the left. In breath, bring those knees back to center. 2 more on each side. Release the knees down to the right. Knees back up to the center. Knees to the left. Knees back up to center. 1 more both sides. Knees to the right. And back to center. Knees to the left. And back to center. This time when the knees drop over to the right, hold it there and just let gravity take them towards the floor. Feel the stretch down that left side waist. Keeping that left shoulder grounded as much as you can. Those chests open to the ceiling. Then bring the knees back into center. And this time take them over to the left and let them relax to the left with the right shoulder staying on the mat. Feel gravity drawing them down, the weight of the knees being brought to the floor. And just see whether the breath can allow any more range of movement to happen. Using deeper breaths calms the nervous system, stops the body from reacting in a fight and flight mode and brings it a little more to rest and restored. Knees come back into center. Feet stay together. Knees drop out to the side. Keep that lower back pushing into the floor as the knees drop out through gravity. Maybe just have a little rock of those knees to get into that lower back for a little cheeky massage. Bring the knees back into the middle and then the knees into the chest. Bring your elbows to the inside of the knees. Take a hold of the shins, the ankles or the outsides of the feet. Try and stack the heel of the feet over the knees. Draw the knees in towards the armpits and the thighs to the outside of both ribs, finding your happy baby, stretching the hips, maybe having a little rock from side to side, just massaging that spine, thanking it for its practice. And let's take it into a stretch of the hamstrings. So keeping a hold of where you're holding, bring the elbows to the outside of the knees And then push the heels up. If you need to lower the hands down the legs a bit more, but try and get that straight leg as much as possible, keeping the lower spine down, the shoulders plugged down. So if you're feeling you're lifting the shoulders to reach, just bring the hands a little lower. From this position, widen the legs, get into those inner thighs, still keeping a hold of where you're reaching to. Then keeping the knees wide, bring the soles of the feet together. Push the knees out with the elbows, and then just lift the head and the shoulders away from the mat, squeezing yourself into what would be a ball if the knees were into the chest, but the knees are splayed out. One more breath here. Then release those shoulders back down. Bring the knees into the chest. Give those knees a hug. Maybe rock that body from side to side a little, or maybe make some circles with the knees in one direction, and maybe make those circles the other way. Draw the knees into the chest, squeeze them tight. Then release the feet to the mat. So choice can be the butterfly legs, dropping knees out to the side, or bring the knees together, heel toe the feet to the edges, and find your relaxation pose, a very good pose for the lower back. Or if you want to bring yourself to the full Shavasana, bring the legs long, feet mat width apart, feet dropping out to the side, hands slightly away from the body with the palms facing up, fingers gently curled. With the knees dropping out and the palms of the hands facing up, give some openness through the chest and through those hips, taking them both into a little external rotation. Once you've found your position, close the eyes, let the jaw relax and the forehead relax, the tongue drop away from the roof of the mouth and those lips to gently part. Take a nice long deep breath in through the nose, and a long sigh out through the mouth. Scan the body, and if you come across any tension spots, maybe give that muscle that's tight a squeeze, and then let that muscle release. You may need to do that in a few places. It may be tightness in the shoulders, it may be tightness through the glutes, may feel tight in the lower back or the hips. Just have that check-in before you come to full relaxation for a next couple of minutes of consolidation of all you've just done through this 45 minutes of mindful movement. Starting to bring some awareness into your fingers, into your toes, maybe rotating those wrists, rotating those ankles. You may want to bring in a full body stretch, arching the back, reaching through the fingertips, the toe tips, maybe lifting the lower back away from the floor. And then bringing the knees back into the chest, taking maybe a rock of that body from side to side, massaging that spine, thanking it for practice. And then when you're ready, slowly making your way up to a seat, either energetically by rocking up and down the spine or rolling onto your side, just taking a moment on your side. Wherever you've come to, take a long, easy breath in, long breath out. And if you're still laid on your side, slowly making your way into a seat, growing tall through the spine, relax through the shoulders, eyes gently closed. Your next in-breath, raise the hands to the ceiling, palms come together at the top. Then on your out-breath, bring the hands to the chest, soft gaze to the floor. Have peace in your thoughts, your words, your hearts, from my heart to yours. Namaste.